The Marching Roundtable is proud to be an official media partner of Drum Corps International.
Thanks for coming to the Marching Roundtable YouTube channel, sharing great information to help you succeed in all the marching arts. While you're here, we hope you'll subscribe.
We wanted to create a space that would sort of indicate that this was where things were supposed to travel, and knowing that we would skirt to the outside of that sometimes, and definitely use especially the front tarp for more of a focal section. We typically put members down there pretty frequently, and I wouldn't say 100% of the time, but we have a member usually on the tarp, sort of walking on by most of the show. There's some really inherent challenges when you're that far off the front ensemble. And that's one of the things the concept has really done for us in a lot of places is the listening demands and the environmental challenges that we have are almost more than expected. I mean, we knew there were going to be some places that were deep listening, but when you're looking at 40 and 50 yard separations from the front ensemble back to the tubas, it's a lot. It's been a big bear on the members to be able to push through all that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Marching Roundtable. This is Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts. We're talking about the Crossmen today. Everybody loves the Crossmen, and we're excited to talk about the cool show they have going this year. Ed Devlin is here. Ed, how are you?
I'm doing well, Tim. How are you?
I'm so happy that you are here. I just know how busy you and Tim are, and so I appreciate you being here. Of course, Ed, you are the program director for the Crossmen, and Tim Mikan is here, the visual designer. Tim, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, everybody, we're going to be talking about the show. We're going to get some behind the scenes on the visual design and about the show in general. And Tim, everybody knows who Ed is. Sorry, I'm not going to ask you to introduce yourself because everybody knows Ed, such a celebrity. Tim, I think a lot of people know who you are, but go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Tim. I'm the other 50% of the Tims on the call.
Right.
And basically, I'm originally from Florida. I live in Southern California now. I teach at Riverside City College, where we have fall marching band color guard, and then we have Fantasia Winter Guard. And then I also have the pleasure of working with a bunch of middle school students at Palm Desert Charter Middle School out in SoCal. So that's kind of what I do most of my time.
Very cool. And David Starnes,
Yeah.
did I even say that you were here yet? Did I forget that?
No, but I'm here.
Okay, everybody. David Starnes is here. David's a great friend of mine. He's been doing some of these conversations. David, thank you for being here to ask some questions today.
Absolutely. Looking forward to talking to these guys.
Okay, so crosswalking. Everybody loves the crossman. We know about the cross on the traditional uniform. We know about bones. There's cross. That's the thing. So I was like, well, that makes sense. That's an interesting idea. So can I just ask, like, is it like that obvious? Like, what words include cross, or like, can you tell me where this came from?
It really is everything that you just said. It's kind of cross and how everything has come together. And we said, okay, how can we put cross into the concept of what we want to do this season? And then we had thrown around it just being cross walk, and then we went, let's do crosswalking. But we figured with the cross, we can tie in everything that's Crossmen coming into their 51st year, and our approach from a costume standpoint is, an updated look to the old type of uniforms that the Crossmen used to wear. And then we added back the Aussie, which has made the membership and the alumni, and it seems like everyone in general is really excited that the Crossmen are using the Aussies this season. So we were able to take everything Crossmen and put it into crosswalking to develop the 2025 show for the season.
Well, I'm definitely going to go on the record right now as saying that I love the Aussies. I think the cord looks amazing in the hats, and thank you for putting those back on them. That makes me as an old school drum corps guy really happy, and I just think that everybody looks good in a hat on the field. But that's me. So Tim, this idea is here, and then you're like, okay, now what do we do visually, right?
Yeah, well, there was some great conversations in this, like any show has taken developments and from where it started sort of in its primal phase. And at the heart of it, there was the first discussions were really just about walking and about moving and how to create styles and feels. And ultimately it's also what dictated the music choices to be kind of diverse. The song selections are a mini. They're from very different types of fields, those were selected to try to illustrate different ways that we could move and different ways that we could kind of approach just traveling across the field. And then when we came up with, the idea of the actual crosswalk itself, that became sort of the vehicle for a way to demonstrate that. If we were watching people do their thing, then this is a chance to see sort of how they would move, through time. So sort of a timeline mixed in with the style and the motif of just moving in general. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun to work on. It's been a challenge, but it's been great.
And Tim, I love that you talked about the music part of it because, when the first time I saw the show, and there's just so much variety to what you guys are doing. And so many moods, like recognizable melodies to melodies you don't know. But like you say, it really works with the coordination aspect of what you're doing audio visually. Can we talk a little bit about the playlist, if you will? Just take us
Yeah.
through for those who haven't seen the show, maybe to go through and to say these things led us to this, and this was kind of the design curve.
Yeah, sure. One of the things that we utilize throughout with some vocals is the walk on by piece. And we've
Hmm.
been adding those as we've going into the show. But that's how we start the program is with the walk on by, old Burt Bacharach piece sung by Dionne Warwick. Then we go into this piece, a new piece by Louis Vuitton. At least for us, it's new. It's called The Beginning. And it gives us that energy and that punch right from the beginning. We go from that setting the mood with that kind of hip hop feel at the beginning when we're in the end zone, coming out of there into the beginning. Then we go into a piece, Charles Mingus, from Haitian Fight Song, which gives us so much variety in interest and energy to it that it allows us to have a different look in terms of the visual presentation of how we approach that. And then we go into, you know, Unsquare Dance from Dave Brubeck. So all just in the four introductory pieces, I won't call them introductory, but the four pieces right from the beginning all have a different sound about them, a different texture about them musically. So there's a lot of variety, I think, that we create. Then we go into the Hoedown by Oliver Nelson, and then we do Symphony Number Two, Movement Two from Rachmaninoff, which is a ballad production, uh, which is quite beautiful. And then a variety of comparison to what we've done prior. And then we go into a piece from the Funky Knuckles. It's called New Birth. Um, so it that is a really energized piece. It kind of has that feel. I don't want to say it, but it has that Matheny feel, and different energies that the Crossmen have had in previous music in previous
Hmm.
years. So that's kind of our music program that ties all of this together from beginning to end and takes the journey across the football field from side one to side two.
I really like the fact that you're playing recognizable melodies. I mean, I heard the Rachmaninoff, and I was like, that's great. And of course, the Dionne Warwick tune, it's just fantastic programming and pretty obvious and right on the nose as far as the show happens. How have the membership responded to the diversity and styles of music, the musicians that are in the drum corps?
Well, I think they've accepted it really well because they've had an opportunity to have music, like you just said, that has that recognizable melody in just the different literature that they're getting to play. That it's not, I don't want to say typical drum corps music or different typical sounds, but they're being able to understand and get to know what these pieces of music are.
Yeah, and I want to say, man, that Walk On By is just one of my favorite tunes ever. Like, I just think it's such a great song. So I was so excited to hear that and then hear it all throughout. And I think there were plenty of moments when I thought, like, yeah, man, that is the Crossman. Like that sounds exactly like I want it to right now. And that made me really happy as a longtime Crossman fan. Tim, Ed sort of referenced it, but the
Mhm.
whole first part of the production is all over on the left side of the field, is what I call side one. And I found
Yeah.
myself like watching to see, oh, is anybody going to cross the 50? No, not yet. And that became like a really fun game for me. As I love shows that make me feel smart, and I thought it did that. So, what's the concept there of sort of keeping that barrier?
Yeah. So when we sat down to sort of get everything planned out, it was really just sort of picking like, okay, if we're going to start here, let's sort of give ourselves some buffer, some room to sort of move across the field. We thought coming out of the end zone was sort of the best way to say, here we are. And that really provided a great impetus for just kind of traveling across the field. And there was a little conversation of, do we flirt with the 50? And then, crossing the 50 is always just such a big deal. And it's like, okay, so how are we going to do this? Um, and so we paced it out as much as we could so that we didn't get trapped on side one for too long. Because as you all probably well know, is that there's some really inherent challenges when you're that far off the front ensemble. And that's one of the things the concept has really done for us in a lot of places is the listening demands and the environmental challenges that we have are almost more than expected. I mean, we knew there were going to be some places that were deep listening, but when you're looking at 40 and 50-yard separations from the front ensemble back to the tubas, it's a lot. It's been a big bear on the members to be able to push through all that. But when we sort of set this up where we knew when we got to the ballot, it was just so beautiful. Drew and Ray and Juan, the guys that are in charge of all the music, did a fantastic job writing that piece, and it just sounded expansive. And we knew that we needed to work within the whole field at some point, and so the ballot really provided an opportunity for that. And then kind of getting into part five is sort of our closer. Um, we didn't want to get stuck on side two so that it felt similar to side one, at the beginning, and it needed to have sort of a freshness to it. So we kind of tickled with going to the side, and then we kind of flood over there towards the end to make more of an exclamation point than such an obvious sort of period at the end. So that was basically the format and how we wanted to set it up. But like I said, it's been great, and it's been a challenge. That spatial challenge has been pretty wild from a listening environment. Every couple of sets, it's like, okay, we're off the hands here. Okay, you're listening to like the crickets chirp back there, and there's a flag whoosh that you're going to try to line up with. And so it's been really challenging for the performers, but they're really starting to tackle it well.
One of the things that I think you guys have done a great job with this year is that the identity piece, and we've referenced that a couple of times, just with the Aussie, the kind of the look of the uniform, and in a time that everybody seems not to want to look like themselves, we're going like we want to look like ourselves, and I think that's a design choice, and I think it's a really cool thing as far as the identity piece goes. But I've just heard over and over and over and over again, the drum corps community is like, I love the fact that I know who's walking on the field before they play the first note, and it's the Crossmen. And there's such an identity about the Crossmen, and such a history about the Crossmen. Can you talk a little bit about that when you announced that to the membership? Because we've got band directors out there deciding right now, going like, wear my band uniform in the fall. Do I go to a costume? What should I do? And look at the Crossmen. They come out and they go, here's an Aussie. We're going to go back to, 1995 and Pat Metheny. How did that work when you guys made that choice?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a lot of discussion amongst the design team. 'Cause it wasn't that we were getting a lot of pressure, but there was a lot of pressure. What can we do to tie the whole 50 years going into the 51st year? And we debated it a lot. We're like, okay, do we take now, because everyone has now created the identity for the performer by not having a share go on or a Aussie. Are we eliminating the personality of the performer by doing that? But ultimately, I felt like it was okay. It's time for us to move forward, not be afraid that everyone else is not going to have on something on their head in terms of other cores, and let's take the chance and put the Aussie back on them. So in April, it was a pretty tight secret until the April camp, and we made a kind of a big production of it. And to see the members' faces, and I mean, they were jumping up and down in the auditorium when we made this announcement. It was really exciting to see that they really wanted to connect to what the Crossmen are. So it was pretty cool.
I love that. That's great.
So Tim, you also created this giant crosswalk, right? I'm assuming is the strip of white all the way across the field. So I found myself as a visual designer also paying a lot of attention to, well, who's on it and who's stepping in. Is that a barrier or not? So again, that's
Yeah.
another thing that you had to play with, I think, so I'm interested in hearing some about how you decided to work with that and what it meant to you.
Yeah, yeah, it was actually a lot of discussion. Um, we wanted to create a space that would sort of indicate that this was where things were supposed to travel, and knowing that we would skirt to the outside of that sometimes, and definitely use especially the front tarp for more of a focal section. We typically put members down there pretty frequently, and I wouldn't say 100% of the time, but we have a member usually on the tarp, sort of walking on by most of the show. And there's always someone kind of down there referencing that point of the show. But in our beginning discussions, we were pretty sure that we wanted to use the crosswalk idea, and the big conversation was, well, do we cover the numbers? Do we, where do we put them? How far in, how far out do we go? If we put them too far back, then it's difficult to you know, get the core to feel proper inside of that without being towards the middle of the field. But we also want to have enough room to do stuff in the front. It gets precarious at times. There are some places where you're like, okay, we got to open this up a little bit more, and we're working through those things now, actually. Um, but then we realized that, some of our professional stadiums, the numbers are in quite different locations. And so, when we're at Lucas Oil, the numbers are much closer towards the middle of the field. And so it was like, okay, what do we cover them for that field only and then not the college fields? And so it got kind of weird. And ultimately we decided that, where they were would be a nice sort of placement and an amount of space that we could use in the center side of all that. So yeah, that's basically our giant mode of travel, our road that we travel down as much as we can. And it's been great. It was amazing when we did everything through images and just sort of mocked stuff up. It was like, oh, this looks really cool. And then when we put the actual tarps on the football field at spring training, it was like, wow, this really changes the shape of the field. The graphic is really different from just these two tarps. And in fact, we had a show where it was a grass field recently, and so when I watched that, I was like, man, that's that doesn't do it justice. That doesn't look anything like what we're working on just by taking those, tarps off. It's pretty wild how it changed everything. But yeah, it's been cool. It's been great. It took some figuring out to do, and you got to weight them and you got to overlap them and all the stuff that I don't really want to give any consideration to because people smarter than me have to figure that stuff out. But yeah, we've gotten down to where we're doing it pretty well now.
It's very cool. I kept thinking every now and then I would think it was the front sideline. And then I was like, wait,
Yeah.
no, so it was
Yeah.
fun to sort of the way it played with my head and like, oh, wait, where are they? And then how is that? Like, I just thought it was an interesting thing to watch happen. You
Yeah,
know,
well, it's cool because the show has a very linear progression from obviously left to right as you're watching it, but so there was sort of built-in rules with everything, some kind of boundaries, and I thought that the tarps sort of revealed themselves to be a boundary also. When do you choose to go across it? When do you not cross it and stuff? So yeah, it kind of played into the whole thing.
Can you talk a little bit about the role of the color guard in this show? Because as I watch the program, it feels to me like there's a lot of choreography in the wins, but the color guard seems to play a little bit different role in that walk on by, if you will. Can you talk a little bit about their energy in this?
Yeah, the color guard, it's a new team for us, and they're doing a really great job. They are really trying to just enhance all the stuff. I mean, I know it sounds really cliche to say that, but they're enhancing the idea of the crossing and the walking and all of those things together. They're able to break a little bit more out, and they love to stop each other and to sort of provide these little channels. There's some great things that they came up with. Like at the beginning, there's an interesting little dance motif that they have this sort of linear line that people kind of get out of the way, and they have this flag introduction that exchanges as they come in, and they hop over. And so they've done a great job of being able to step out of their roles as just spinner performer type people and jump into the character and provide a bit more of the coloring for all that. So I'm not sure that there's I don't know how to say it deters from what we normally do, but yeah, I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, but yeah.
But
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah,
You go ahead, Ed.
I think one of the things with that too is that in the third production we utilized the planks, which was an extension of the crosswalk. So that also gives them a different dimension into the show and how that's created and how it gives us a different look. And it also gives you times where when we pair up people, we have the X's coming together. Those two planks become the X. So we kind of utilize that image all the way through the entire show with the planks and the costuming in the crosswalk. So
Well, I think it's a really interesting show, and it's being performed really well. And I thought I like it when you set me up to have fun figuring it out and seeing the concept play out in all the different ways. Like I feel like this show, especially this year, did that for me, and I really appreciated that. Oh, there's another cross. Oh, now they're moving over this way again. Like I just and oh, are they on the crosswalk or not? Like I just found all of that really interesting to watch. And so, at least for me, you kept me engaged in the concept in a way that I really enjoyed.
well, I'm glad to hear that. That's really good.
And the kids are playing really well. I watched the video from San Antonio, and it must be great to come back to your home city and perform for a crowd like that. But boy, they really got a great ovation in San Antonio, and I thought that was just fabulous. I know that feels so good to them to be able to travel all over the country and then have one of the largest regionals in the entire country right in their backyard.
Oh, absolutely. Like as they say, it's our home show, and they did come out Saturday in San Antonio and really delivered a great performance on Saturday afternoon, which was great. And they were excited, and you get the parents the parents that spend a lot of money for these members to do this activity, and they're all down there in San Antonio and watching it, and they're all happy. And then you see the excitement between them in uh, their child after the performance. And it's just great seeing that connection that they have through that performance that their child did. And it's pretty exciting.
I think that's such an important piece that you just brought up too, Ed, because I think, when DCI coins marching music's major league, all the things that it is, but they're band kids, they're band kids with band parents. And to see even a college kid that's performing their last show of their DCI career walk off the field and mom and dad right there in the parking lot in tears, that's the side of DCI I don't think people really get to see. And I'm really glad you brought that up because I think there's a human side of this thing under all those Aussies that, there are kids out there that get up every morning just like all the other kids do. They've just made a decision to really work hard this summer. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
So, Tim, is there anything else about the show that you wanted to make sure and mention or that you want to talk about before we end this conversation?
Um, No, it's a work in progress. I mean, we're working through a lot of stuff. It's when you're putting these shows together, that you're kind of taking off the big bites first, and you're trying to get as much of the big stuff as you can. And we're starting now to get a little deeper into some of the crafting of these phrases and some of the sort of individual personalities that pop out. So I think just keep looking for a lot more nuance and a lot more character development. And I challenge people to get into the styles and the way that we're choreographing each of the movements and how things can feel quite different from sort of this, country hunting wabbits kind of thing and the unsquared dance to, kind of more of a cool Mingus feel when we're doing Haitian fight song and sort of the fun that happens in, the funky knuckle stuff at the end. So there's a really cool inherent variety to the show that just like we're artists and we're trying to figure it out. So there's still places that we're discovering every day at rehearsals and going, oh, we could dig deeper into this and deeper into that. So, keep watching because it's what you're seeing now won't be what you see in 3 weeks. So that's about all I can offer.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. And I want to remind everybody, as I often do, that not every corps starts at the same time or has the same trajectory to their season. And it's very exciting to watch a corps like Crossman, like the amount of growth and development on the students and the show through this time of the season is so exciting to follow. And everybody kind of pay attention to that. Each time you see the show, you'll see how much they've grown and changed and seeing the show develop. So you guys are doing great work. The students are having a great experience. Ed, anything you want to say as we're closing?
No, I think the Crossman show this season is, as David has mentioned, with the medley, it's everyone can be engaged in it. You don't have to be, the top music person in the world to understand what we're doing. It gives you a variety. It gives you an engagement. It gives you a connection. It creates an emotional connection and an emotional journey from the beginning. It can make you laugh. It can make you cry during the ballad. So there's all various parts of this. It's just not one style of music that kind of just comes at you all the whole show. We're taking you on a musical and visual journey that you can kind of just, sit back and watch. You don't have to study it. It comes right to you. There's no crazy secrets about it. It's just a fun drum corps show.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. Thanks for explaining that. David, I guess I'm going to let you have the final word here. What do you want to say?
Well, I just want to say congrats to you guys, and I love the fact that there's a corps with that has such history like the Crossmen do, and you're really expressing that through the identity. I just think it's fantastic. And if I had heard Pat Metheny out of this show, I wouldn't have been surprised. But at the same time, it's so refreshing to see the Crossmen. The first time I saw the uniform reveal and to hear the style of music and obviously the arrangements, I think you guys have just done a fantastic job as far as capturing the personality, the history, and the trajectory of even a more expressive and creative Crossman. So congratulations. Best of luck for the rest of the season.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Ed and Tim, for talking with us today, and good luck. I'm sure it's going to be a great rest of the season. And thank you, David, for being a part of the conversation.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Marching Arts Education is the home of the Marching Roundtable podcast. We give you access to the top marching arts professionals through live webinars, podcasts, videos, interviews, and online coursework. With over 1,000 podcasts and hundreds of webinars and videos, there are hours of great professional development for you and your staff. Imagine what you could do with so many great new ideas from the top professionals in our activity. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up for our newsletter to find out about the latest podcasts, webinars, and new content. Find all of this and sign up at marchingartseducation.com.